Another one? This is insane. The Storm Prediction Center has upgraded the risk again. How high could it go? We've got more significant storms with all hazards like wind, hail, and tornadoes possible today and tomorrow. Now, who's going to get hit the hardest and when will it all go down? I've got all that and more in today's Tuesday forecast starting now. I could have been there. Oh, Connor. Looking at our visible satellite in man, are we active across much of the United States? We've got a couple of features here. We've got this swirl in the clouds. That is a low pressure system. We looked at that yesterday. That's continuing to drop all those showers and storms for the southeast. And then we've got a couple of complexes of storms over here in Kansas where they are getting significant flooding. Then we've got the leftovers of this low pressure up in Canada now. That is what dropped our tornadoes in Minnesota yesterday. And our Texas brethren and Florida brethren are clear, just like our West Coast brethren. Yet again, they're in the clear. And man, the last 24 hours has been incredibly active from a storms perspective. All of that red, the orange, the green, those are lightning strikes over the past 24 hours. So places like the southeast, the west coast of Florida, Nebraska, the Dakotas, and Kansas saw a crazy amount of lightning with all of those storms. Now, yesterday, I just got to acknowledge this, guys. We saw possibly the tornado of the year, possibly the tornado of the decade. This is from Connor Croft's stream, and look at this beauty. I mean, this is one of the craziest, most insane tornadoes I have ever seen. And every storm chaser that was there, including Connor, would tell you the same thing. I could have been there. Oh. But you know what? I am incredibly happy for Connor. I'm incredibly happy for anyone that saw this. They just did amazing work and represented our whole community out there incredibly well. Great work, storm chasing brothers. All right, but let's not beat around the bush. Let's talk turkey, as we've got a big time risk for severe storms. This is a moderate risk right in here in red, and that is centered in Kansas, where we are expecting storms to develop up here near Cheyenne or Cheyenne. Those will slide into Kansas as we go throughout the day. And this is a huge risk, guys. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this area because this will be our main focal point for severe storms. We could have severe storms all the way in Iowa, down through Nebraska, into Kansas, even into Oklahoma, especially later on into the night. By far, the worst storms are going to be in this moderate risk. That is a 4 to 5. They don't issue these often in June, and that does include the city of Wichita, Kansas, as well as areas off to the west. But our enhanced risk extends well into Colorado, so we are likely going to see significant storms tonight. And looking at our tornado risk, this is not a tornado-driven moderate risk, as we've only got a 5% area that does include Wichita. It goes all the way to Kansas City. Normally, when you see a moderate risk, you're expecting at least a 10% or greater. So that just shows you tornadoes aren't the main risk today, but we saw what happened yesterday. So they're certainly possible. The big threat today by far is the wind. Look at this scary purple right in there. That is a 45% chance to see significant winds over 70 miles an hour. That is hurricane force. And we've got that 30% that goes from Colorado all the way through Kansas City. So a big time wind event is going to unfold today. And hail also will be big. But we've even got severe weather possible all the way in the Ohio Valley, in the mid-Atlantic, down into the southeast. We've got this marginal risk, so heads up. Some strong storms are on the way for much the country. Now, I'm also pretty concerned about flooding, especially in Kansas State. Look at all the rain they got overnight. This radar loop is the past 5 hours, and Kansas and northern Oklahoma have been getting absolutely pounded, especially in Wichita. They've got a flash flood warning right now, and they're only going to get more rain today. Let's look at how things are going to unfold and when will they get bad. Let's start this morning. A couple of trouble spots. We've got showers and storms, just like we've been talking about the last several days in the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, from Ohio all the way down to Mississippi. We've got this area, this massive complex, a couple of complexes of storms across Kansas. So those two areas are going to be our big time trouble spots today. And let's take a look at how things will time out. First, in Kansas and across the plains. So going into the morning hours, as we go into the afternoon and evening hours, we likely are going to see a couple of complexes form and push through Kansas City, through Topeka. Those could contain strong winds, large hail, maybe a spin up or two. And this is about 3 p.m. Central here. So we're going to have huge, big time storms ongoing from Topeka down to Wichita. Watch how this thing completely lines out and becomes a massive line of storms right in there. There is your line of storms. Those storms will likely train. They're going to go over the same areas over and over and over again. And that's why flooding also will be a huge concern. But watch how this thing just bows out, turns into a potential derecho, and slams its way to the south into Oklahoma. That's why our severe weather risk does extend into northern Oklahoma, because this line of storms, as we go into the early morning hours on Wednesday, will likely still be severe. I mean, look at that. That is a powerful system. It leveled up again. Ding, ding, ding. And even for our northern plains brethren, we're likely going to be talking about rain and showers and storms for South Dakota, Nebraska, into Iowa. And we've got some Iowa brethren in the chat. Now, if that line moves out on Wednesday morning, things are going to calm down significantly for the plains, and the risk is going to shift off to the east. Now, what about our East Coast brethren for today? How bad could those storms really get? Well, if you notice, I'm not really seeing a whole lot that catches my eye here. I mean, could have some scattered storms once again in Ohio, and that doesn't look too bad. And then in Tennessee and Kentucky, down through Alabama into Mississippi, they're pretty much your average summertime scattered storms. Gusty winds, lightning are the main threats with this, heavy downpours that'll be more inconvenient for you than dangerous. Even some folks along the East Coast in places like North Carolina, all you beachgoer brethren. And then folks in Virginia could also get in on that storm action, even into Pennsylvania as well. So another stormy day on tap for the United States, and tomorrow is going to be no different, as we've got yet another risk for severe storms tomorrow. Here that risk is, and it's further off to the east. Notice how Kansas is not in it. We'll have a little bit of a weak cold front from that decaying low pressure up in Canada. Storms will fire in the afternoon and evening, and that is when we've got this enhanced risk. That is a 3 out of 5 risk right through there, cuts right through the heart of Indiana, up even into Michigan, and it does extend all the way back into Oklahoma City. And if we go up into Michigan as well, it does include Detroit, Columbus. You're even in on that slight risk. And looking at our tornado probabilities for tomorrow, this is a 5%. That's a pretty decent risk, especially for June for this part of the country. So heads up, we'd see a couple of tornadoes tomorrow, just like we saw yesterday, just like we'll see today. It's that same risk. But a 2% even does go down into Oklahoma City and up through the northern portions of Michigan as well. But here's the reason why we've got that enhanced risk tomorrow. Strong wind will be all but certain, especially right in this region that I'm drawing. I'm such a good artist. And hail, I'm not really expecting much, if any hail. Could get maybe pea-sized or lime-sized. All right, now how are things going to time out tomorrow for that enhanced risk? You'll notice we've got this decaying line of storms. This is from the previous day. This is from today's severe weather. But look at the spin in the atmosphere. See the atmosphere kind of spinning like that? That is a weak low pressure that's starting to form up here, and that's where we'll have a cold front that will sweep its way off to the east. It won't be a dramatic cold front, but it will be enough lift to give those storms a nice little kick out in front of it. So as we go into the afternoon and evening, we've got a couple of clusters of storms that I'm watching. One in here through Kentucky, one back in here in Oklahoma City and Missouri, and then we've got a third that will be moving through Michigan Wednesday afternoon. This is about 2 p.m. Eastern. If we zoom in on those storms here, let's watch how they evolve as we go into the evening and overnight hours. Notice we've got this cluster that's sweeping up into Canada. We've got another cluster that develops in Ohio. We've got a third cluster down here in Kentucky. We've got a fourth cluster down here in Arkansas. So these likely won't be a connected line of storms all the way through. You'll have several different clusters that will be all marching their way off to the east as we go throughout the evening. Now let's go ahead and look at our CAPE, our storm fuel for the next couple of days. I just put this on because I think this loop is really cool. Look at all this CAPE that's flowing up from the Gulf, and all of that warm, moist, unstable air is going to fuel all that severe weather, especially look at this in Kansas. This is on Tuesday, big time Cape right along that boundary. That's where storms will fire. And then watch as we go into Wednesday, the Cape reloads here and continues to slide into the Ohio Valley. Look at all this warm, moist, unstable air that's sliding that way. If I put this in motion here, we've got values of 1 to 2,000. It's not too significant. That's why we've only got that enhanced risk, because we've got a good amount of storm fuel. We don't have a great amount. And here's our significant tornado parameter. You guys are used to me showing this graphic, and it looks like the best tornado conditions for Tuesday are going to be centered right near Wichita, Kansas. Heads up, our Kansas brethren. Going into Wednesday as well, we've got some tornado parameters down here in Arkansas. We've got some decent tornado conditions up in the Ohio Valley, but overall, we are not looking like a slam dunk threat at all for tornadoes for both Tuesday and Wednesday. Another one, we've got another risk for severe weather, this time on Thursday, and this time for our East Coast brethren. Oh no! As that decaying low pressure system works its way off to the east, that cold front will slam into the East Coast, and that's why we've got this slight risk for severe storms. It does include Vermont, a little bit of New Hampshire, all the way down into Washington, D.C., all the way down through the Carolinas, does include New York City as well. The heads up our eastern seaboard brethren. And I could see them upgrading this risk because Thursday has looked pretty potent. As the NAM shows this broken line of storms moving through, look at these things popping up from D.C. all the way down through Carolina. That's one massive line of storms. And then more scattered storms pop up here. I'm telling you, if these stay discreet, could be talking about some tornadoes for Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and even into Maine. And I've got news for you guys. Pretty much nothing has changed with our dew points for the rest of this week, at least until Thursday. We are going to see hot, muggy conditions persist. That cold front that does sweep through the East Coast, notice how it does kind of clear some of that moisture out. So that will help get some of the moisture out as that front slams its way off to the east. Right in there is your front as we go into next weekend. That moisture, you just can't shut off the Gulf, guys. It's just too strong, is pulling all of that moisture to the north, right back in some of those same areas. So more muggy, hot, sticky, moist conditions are unfortunately on the way, especially into next weekend, where we could see dews in the 70s, close to 80 in some spots. Guys, looking at the long range for severe weather, I think we're going to stay very active. As this red area from the CFS model, it shows us that the severe weather should focus in the upper plains and upper Midwest, which is where it normally does this time of year. Uh-oh, guys, we've got our first tropical disturbance to talk about. It's Tropical Storm Eric. Right there. Oh, now Eric is expected to become a hurricane in the next several hours here, but this is in the Pacific Ocean, and this is expected to strike the southwest coast of Mexico here. I don't know if that's a popular vacation spot, but heads up, our Mexico brethren, you guys have hurricane warnings in effect. That's the red here. Those are hurricane warnings. You are going to get some storm surge from this, especially on the southeast side. If we do have anyone from Mexico watching this video, let me know in the chat below. The Gulf and the Atlantic is quiet. Shh. We've got massive news. Storm chaser and meteorologist Sierra Lindsay is going to be on our podcast this Thursday. So set your DVRs, set your alarm clocks, 15 reminders on your phone, because this one is going to be a banger. So Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Be there. I'm going to make her face. Lastly, guys, I just want to thank all of you for supporting us. We are almost at 10,000 subscribers. So send this channel to everyone you know. If everyone sends it, we'll double, and then we'll triple and quadruple and sextuple. Oh my goodness. But seriously, guys, it has been such a fun ride. I hope you guys have been enjoying it along the way with all the different shows that we've been introducing. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I read every single comment, but our channel is only as good as you people. So just want to say I love all of you guys, and thank you so much for being here. I want to build this thing massive, and I can only do that with your help. That's all I got, guys. You guys are the best. Find someone, tell them you love them, tell them you care about them today. This is Stormcat 5, and I'll see you on the next one.